in the pits. It looks like they're going 4 wide to 5 wide, but they're side by side. Connor is sideways, absolutely sideways in the last few corners. Oh, but he's up in the gravel and he spins. Rob has made a bit of a dive. It actually hits teammate Craig, and so they've all got stuck in the gravel. And Joe gets the switch back. That's fantastic racing. Look at that. Contact, but it's Robbins Racing. Joe McCall takes his first ever win just ahead of Connor. A fantastic race. He's going to take 6th, or is it? Oh, he just gets him. And is Darren going to take it? No, he doesn't. Mark Nichol takes the race. Josh is the Independence champion for Season 3. Craig Kellett is your Season 3 winner and champion. The reverse grid draw happened then, with the numbers 6 to 16 randomly drawn, and number 8 was pulled out, which is Craig Kellett for Elite Racing in his Ford Mustang, next to Tom Foster in the KTTC Racing Renault Megane. Road 2 is Darren Parker in his Mazda Atenza for Team Redeem, next to Kieran Thomas in the second of the KTTC Racing Renault Meganes. Road 3 is Rob Pellet in his Ford Mustang for Elite Racing, next to MCR Storm's Mike Comer in the VW Scirocco. Row 4 is Harry Cook in the Mazda Atenza for Team Redeem, next to Mike Kuipers in the K&N Fox Racing VW Scirocco. Row 5 is Gary Black in the second of the MCR Storm VW Sciroccos, next to Stephen Heath in the HB Motorsports Hyundai Genesis. Row 6 is Joe Burrows of the second of the HB Motorsports Hyundai Genesis, next to Joe McCall in the Nissan GTR for Team Snap-on, and the back row of the grid returns Alex McCready in the Lexus RCF, and of course Daniel Stewart doesn't return in the other Lexus RCF. Okay then, here we go. It's the last race of the day for the touring cars here at Dragon Trail, with Craig Kellett and Tom Foster on the front row of the grid, and away they go. It's a great start for Craig, but a poor start for Tom, of course, and a fantastic start there for Rob Pellet in the second of the Mustangs, with Darren Parker right next to him. So he's already up to podium position, so Darren gets a good start as well, and is up on the inside there. Craig makes the early lead. Everyone through safe into the first few corners, and Joe Burrows goes up to 6th, pushes Kieran down to 7th, as Tom and Kieran push down to 7th and 8th with those poor starts. And there's Joe McCall, and that's a good start for Joe then, as he goes up to 8th position. So Kieran 8th, Tom 9th, and then there's Alex McCready, who we go on board with. He's having a tussle here with Mike Comer, and it looks like he's pushed him wide. Oh, there's more contact there. Alex is on the gravel. He's nearly losing it. Oh, there's contact, and he's in the barrier. So Alex McCready, big contact, and there's Gary Black. So it looks like he was caught in the crossfire. So a nightmare for Gary, as he really needed a decent result at the end of the day here. But the championship leader from the start of this round has gone down to last position, and he's now got to salvage the damage from here onwards. So back at the front then, it's the two team, the Elite Racing, Ford Mustangs in a 1-2 position here. So this is fantastic for them. But they have both Team Redeem Mazdas very, very close behind. So Darren already looking really, really close here to Rob Pellet to see if he can get past him, and of course Rob will no doubt really want to hold on to that podium to get his first podium in the Mustang of the season. Let's watch Alex McCready and Mike Comer here, who seem to have a tussle. They're side by side. There's a lot of pushing and shoving, and then there's Mike and Alex again. Alex goes onto the gravel, loses control, tank slaps, and there's Gary. Wow, huge contact into the wall. Let's watch on board with Gary then, as look, there's the pushing and shoving between Mike and Alex. It looks like Alex started it, and then Mike, that's one final push there. Gary struggles to get past Mike. Bang, there's the contact. on board with Mike Kuipers then, who's behind Gary, and you can see Alex go off here. Mike gets away with it, I think. Yeah, just about. Look at that. A great fourth position for Rob last race has really buoyed his confidence, and he will be feeling really confident to push even further and to challenge the two Team Redeem Mazdas, who of course have had a really strong performance so far here at Dragon Trail. So further down, it's a great battle here with Tom, Joe McCall, and Joe McCall, sorry, and Joe Barrows. Both Joes are in there. So on board in this end here of Joe McCall. So this for Joe is his best position essentially that he's been in all season. So up to 6th, so some real progress for two of the drivers here that unfortunately have had a pretty poor start for the first few rounds. Oh, there's contact there between Kieran and Joe Burrows, who goes sideways but manages to maintain it and to get the car pointing forward back in the right direction. So Joe here on the back end of Tom with Joe and Kieran behind. Oh, Joe McCall makes a mistake and is in the wall. That's a massive disappointment. I'll be really disappointed with that after the real good start that he had. So Kieran is now behind Mike Kuipers. And it's a real shame for Joe in that Nissan as he hit the wall. He just got it wrong, but I'm sure he will be coming back fighting at the next round in Bathurst, sorry. So Gary's managed to get ahead of Alex now, but still a long way to go. So the leader of the race has changed then between Darren and Craig, and it's a fight between Elliot and Redeem here. We've got Mazda, Ford, Mazda as we go down over the crest into the S's. We're on lap 3 of 13, so this is early days into this race, and we really have a great race looking into the future here. And look at that, how close Craig is on the back end of Darren, on board with Craig then, and he holds off, doesn't make a dive or a move just yet, and he will have to stay really close to see if he can make some pace behind him at the bus chicane here. And they are so even, these two, and they have been fighting for season after season. And Craig gets the move done then and goes up to first as he overtakes on the last hairpin, and Harry Cook will support Darren at the back of him in 3rd position, with Rob just dropping off a little bit in the Mustang, sorry, just behind them, but he's not too far behind. And he'll hopefully try and support Craig up in 1st, with between 1st and 2nd and 1st and 2nd. And Craig, look at that, using all the trackers he can. He's looking for any space possible to get past Darren. There's a little bit of contact. And because of the fighting, whoa, contact there because of the fighting. Rob is now looking to see if he can get past Harry. So this is a great race between the top 4. Two teams battling out between each other. And it's a huge gap between the top 4 here and 5th position, which is Mike Kuipers with Tom and Kieran working together well there behind them. Another little nudge there from Craig on the back of Darren. But Harry looks like he wants a piece of this as well now, to see if he can help Darren by going into the bus chicane. Do they go in together or do they hold off? Craig holds off, but Harry is there, and could potentially cause a bit of a stir here. But he doesn't, and they all go through. You can't take your eyes off of this race with Craig and Darren again getting side by side. Harry pushing Craig almost into the lead there, so Craig now back into the lead, and it's Elliott, redeem Elliott, as they go over the line onto lap 4. So Mike Kuipers still in 5th, Tom 6th, not too far behind him. So these three here looking fairly comfortable, as they could potentially catch up to the top 4, but of course they are very quick, and if Tom and Mike continue to fight here, then they won't catch them. So they've got to work together, and then they can fight when they get up the front. Further down, Mike Comer is in 8th position, and he's fighting with Joe Burrows. And Joe's really struggled here at Dragon Trail, unfortunately. We've got a decent 4th position at Interlagos at the final race. And then we've got Gary, who's made progress up ahead of the Nissan of Joe McCall. So Joe down to 11th. Alex McCready is now being lapped, it looks like. So Alex having a nightmare of a race. And that's Darren and Craig looking really sideways as they go through the chicane. So Darren leads this race with Craig in 2nd, Harry in 4th, and Rob in 4th, sorry, Harry in 3rd. Get my numbers right there. As they go round onto, they're on lap 5 here, so lap 6 it will be onto. Now this is an interesting bit of tactic here, the two Mustangs together, although they've actually separated now, and there's Rob pushing in. Can he get a dive on the inside? No, he can't. So now Team Redeem have got the 1, 2, 3, 4 is the Elliott Racing Ford Mustangs. And you couldn't really call it another one here, really, that it's just going to bore right down to the last lap. Slipstream is vital, and Rob slightly makes a mistake there, and you can see how that's unfortunately that's pushed him just a bit further down. Alex McCready hopefully will will take note of the blue flags here, as you can see they're waving, to make sure that he doesn't get involved and to ruin the race of the front runners. So Kieran and Tom now fighting just behind Mike Kuipers. Tom and Kieran having a bit of fun, but obviously they can't take it too far, as they need to work together to catch up with first at least Mike, and then to catch up with the rest of them. So Mike has managed to gap Joe now. Joe has struggled to keep up with Mike Comer, and there's Gary, who is on fire here as he's catching up with Joe Burrows, who's making some progress, catching up with the two of them, and he is probably frustrated as hell after getting caught out with Alex McCready earlier in that accident. Back up at the front, and Darren still leads with Craig looking on the inside and holds off. So Craig constantly in that Redeem sandwich, with Rob struggling to push to support him, and as much as Alex McCready is very close, we can ignore him, but not too far in the distance now is Mike Kuipers and the two KTTC of Tom and Kieran, who seem to be making some progress and catching up here, as this fight is continuing lap after lap, and it's slowing the guys down. I think Rob has held off and has decided to hold his 4th position to make sure that he doesn't slow himself down. Let's go on board of Harry. The three of them going into the corner together. And yeah, look at that. So it's all down to the chicane here to see whether any progress can be made by any of them. One small mistake will have you hitting the wall on the exit, on the entry, and as you can see, Rob just swiped the wall and that slowed him down. So Harry's got a great exit, and look at that, he goes into the lead. Harry Cook is now leading this race for the first time in this race. So Harry is leading, Craig is still second, Darren is pushed down to third, Rob stays in fourth, and Mike Kuipers, look, is catching, and there's the two KTTC as well. Let's go on board with Tom to see how close they all are. It's now beginning to look like a front running pack, as Mike has got the tow from Rob, Kieran has got the tow from Mike, and Tom has got the tow from Kieran, so they all will bunch up literally in the next few corners. And there's Alex McCready unfortunately going off, so his event goes from bad to worse, or from worse to worse, let's say. But Tom on the back of this pack with a massive gap, let's say, between him and Mike Comer, although actually no, he's not too far, so Mike could catch up here with Gary catching up very closely as well. And you can see how close things are now, as it really is the front running pack. It's 7-way between everyone here, so 4 becomes 7, and it could be any one of these to take a win or a podium position at least. So the dynamic has changed, and even more importantly now is the teamwork. We have 3 full teams here working together, with just one for Mike, who has actually run on his own for K&N Fox Racing in his VW Scirocco, as Mark Nick wasn't available to race. So concept there from Tom, so Tom is going to drop off a little bit there. As you can see, they are much quicker on the exit. Mike Kuipers now is putting the pressure on to Rob Pellet, and he's up on the inside of him, and he's going to get past here, looks like. Mike very quick round here. The two team redeems in second and third, as Craig Kellett still leads this race. Lap 9 then, and this race has got even more exciting, and the pack has grown up to the first uphill chicane, and Mike and Rob again. Rob goes off on the gravel, and he's gone into Tom, so Tom goes and hits the wall. Rob hits the wall, so oh no, Rob spins round, so Rob Pellet is facing the wrong way. Can you believe it? Wow. And Rob was up there in 4th position, and now down to 9th, potentially down to 10th here. Yeah, can you believe it? Magnetised 10th. Rob salvages the damage, and there is Alex McCready. Not sure what Alex is doing. Let's go on board with Rob then and find out what happens here. So Rob goes up on the inside of Mike, and there's a little bit of push and shove, but Rob goes wide into the gravel. Oh, there's the contact with Tom. Oh, it's just a real shame that he lost control right at the end of it. On board with Tom, and you can see up ahead there is Rob with Kieran and Mike, and Rob and Mike get kind of together, and yeah, there's Tom. Oh, he just couldn't avoid Rob after he spins out. So down to 3rd then, Harry Cook is he braked really late there, and I thought he was going to go into Darren, but didn't quite do that. So one of the Mustangs then is out of the equation. We're down to 6 for the lead here, and it could be any one of them. The KTTC Renault Megans just slightly dropping off themselves, struggling to keep up. So the lead of the race changes again into the hands of Darren Parker. Alex McCready still playing in the sand, but he gets out of the way and does the right thing. On board with Darren, and we will see Harry behind him, and there is Craig on the outside. Oh, he just lets him Oh, that's Harry and Darren getting a bit too close for comfort, and that's allowed Mike to poke his nose in and see if he can find some space here, but he holds off as well. So those two K-Techs possibly holding off and waiting patiently for someone to make a mistake. Blue flag still waving as Alex McCready is still unnecessarily getting involved in the pack here when he is, I think, more than 2 laps behind. So it'll be interesting for the stewards to look at after this race to see whether he is interfering too much. He's got out of the way, so he's not actually caused any problems, but knowing there's another car on the track which shouldn't be there is quite distracting, so they will look at it, no doubt. And it's just bunched up a little bit more than it was. Oh, there's contact with the wall. Mike and Harry are in together, and that slowed Mike down, and there's Kieran and Mike so going in together. One of them's going to come out victorious, and it is Kieran. So Kieran goes into the lead. On board with Tom then. K-Tech have moved up to 4th in this battle, but Mike Kuipers goes on the inside and is fighting with Kieran again, so the fight is not over between these two. So currently it's Elliot redeem, but there we go. It's going to change. Whoa, I was about to say it's going to change, but it didn't. But Harry is pushing on Craig, and Craig is really under pressure. This is like one of the earlier races where it was just that it redeems and Craig on his own. Race 1, it was exactly the same. But of course, Kieran in 4th here is now potentially going to push Harry to see if he can get up to the podium. And this would be good for Kieran, who had a disappointing Interlagos, so he will be looking for a really good result here. Will it be too much to push for the win? It'll be interesting to be seen. It's actually Darren, not Harry, who's pushing, sorry. Ooh, bit of a push there from Mike. Harry and Darren again rubbing panels, and it's so tight for space around this section here with the barrier so close to the cars. So the train of cars goes round the hairpin into lap 12. So 2 laps left as it's now Redeem pushing each other. Look at that, Darren is pushing Harry, not Craig, pushing Harry into the lead of the race, but he's going to go in the middle to see if he can take it 3-way. Kieran and Tom side by side as well. And it's back to Team Redeem there, but Craig is on the inside of Darren again. And so Craig back up to 2nd, Kieran still in 4th, Mike still in 5th, Tom still in 6th. It's not really changing that much at the back though, between this pack as the cars continue to go around. Let's update it further down because we haven't really seen it much, and that's actually Mike Comer, who's look, that's the back of that pack. So Mike is catching up. He's got no one on him, no pressure, so he can do some really quick laps here. He's got the fresh air, so he will very quickly catch up. Gary's dropped off a little bit, unfortunately. I think he might have made a mistake. So there's Rob Pellet is now behind Joe Burrows and Gary Black, so Rob could make up some progress. And again, Alex McCready is interfering. The blue flags are waving like mad around this circuit, and it's already been said that the stewards are investigating the situation with Alex here. Oh, there's Rob. Oh no, Rob again with Joe, and the made massive contact, just nearly was avoided by the Nissan of Joe McCall. So Rob's race goes from bad to worse as well, so it's a real shame. Back up at the front, and it's still Team Redeem leading with Harry Cook. Could Harry hold on for the final lap here at Dragon Trail for the final race to get that first ever win? Oh, he goes wide. A little bit of contact with Craig. I think Craig has made a mistake there, so Harry's been pushed wide and down to third position. Commentator's curse, unfortunately. Oh, Darren gets up the inside of Craig. Look, there's actually, interestingly, where is Mike Kuipers? So Mike Kuipers has dropped off, so Mike must have made a mistake. Mike is now down to 7th, so Mike Comer has got ahead of Mike Kuipers. Mike Kuipers has made a mistake somewhere, so that's a shame. And we are now into the last few corners of this race. We're coming to a close here. A fantastic Dragon Trail event, which has shown some really close racing between especially the Team Redeems, who've shown some real strengths, and Craig. Oh, Craig nearly makes a mistake, he hits the wall. So Darren has got the advantage here, and he's got past him. Harry goes behind him as well, so it's the Team Redeem. We've got a 1-2, so Craig has made a mistake. Darren is leading. Oh, there's a push from Craig. Oh no, so more has happened with Craig, and there's Kieran now, so Kieran could make an advantage, but at the end of the day, Darren Parker takes his first win of the season. Craig is second, Kieran is third, Harry is fourth, Tom is fifth, Mike Comer makes up to sixth in the end, with Mike Kuipers not quite catching up with Mike Comer after making a mistake earlier on. Gary Black does what he does, and he gets an 8th to get as many points as he can after going off really early in the race. Joe Burrows 9th for Joe McCall 10th, Rob is 11th. Let's watch the final few corners then, on board with Craig here, who was leading as he goes into the bus chicane, and he doesn't quite get it right. The curbs just bounce him into the wall, and there's Darren, who's got much better exit, and Harry. Oh, there's a little bit of a mistake there from Craig. I wonder if that'll be looked at. And then Harry goes wide, and that unfortunately allows Kieran to get past Harry. Darren gets the win then, with Craig in second, Kieran getting a last minute podium as Harry Cook loses out in fourth position. Tom was fifth, Mike was sixth, Mike Kuipers was seventh, Gary 8th, Joe Burrows was 9th, Joe McCall was 10th, Rob Pellet in 11th, and of course Alex McCready was laps behind. Looking at the championship then, Darren Parker pushes on further into the lead with 173 points, which is 23 points ahead of Craig Kellett in second as we go into round 5 in Bathurst. Gary Black goes down to third, but is joint with Craig on 150. Harry Cook and Mike Comer are both joint on 133 now, as Mike Comer jumps up to 5th. Tom drops to 6th with 128. Mike Kuipers and Kieran Thomas are also joint 121 in 7th and 8th. Mark Nichol drops down to 9th with 100 points after not racing, and Stephen Heath is in 10th with 89. In the teams then, Team Redeem are still in the lead with 303, second are MCR Storm with 278, so Redeem a fantastic points haul for the whole event. K-Tech on 247 as K&N Fox Racing with only one car on 215, Elliott Racing on 209, HB Motorsports in 6th with 157, Team Snap-on in 7th, and of course Team Speedy at the back. In the Rook then, Gary Black is leading with 206 points, Harry Cook is on 196, so in actual fact Harry is catching Gary now after a really good event here at Dragon Trail. Mike Comer also has done well, so 160 points, Rob Pellet on 141, with Luke Knox 76, Alex McCready 73, and Daniel Stewart on 29 after they all struggled or didn't race at all.